Just a week after State Farm Insurance got a 17% whopping increase in their rates approved, now they're going for a 30% increase in rates. And of course, Democrats are blaming it all on Donald Trump. Coming up, we'll tell you all about the rate increases, why it's not just going to happen with State Farm, how Democrats are actually to blame, and we've got a 3-point plan that will save you thousands of dollars. Coming up, the insurance crisis getting worse in California. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California and a California state representative. And we're going to talk about the insurance crisis getting worse here in California. And we've been warning you about this for the last 3 years. And what is particularly hysterical, but not surprising, is that California politicians who caused the insurance crisis, and they are the ones singularly to blame for the insurance rates going up on homeowners across the state and renters across the state, the ones who created the problem are now pointing the finger at, you know who, Donald Trump. That's right. Everything is Trump's fault. Everything's Trump's fault. You have a receding hairline. It's Trump's fault. You weigh too much. It's Trump's fault. So now they're trying to blame Trump. We've got the receipts. We've got the evidence. We know that the Democrats actually brought this insurance crisis on California through their bad mismanagement and extremist policies. We're going to get to that in just a moment. Plus, we have a 3-point plan to solve the insurance crisis and reduce your rates by thousands of dollars a year. But first, let's get into what just happened. State Farm last week got a 17% rate hike approved by the California Insurance Commissioner, who, by the way, a Democrat. Now they're back saying they want a 30% increase. It's just been a week, and now they want a 30% increase. This is on top of a double-digit increase they got last year. So we're talking about 45% for most homeowners over the span of 18 months. That would be the rate increase that you're seeing. So starting in June, State Farm already has a 17% increase for homeowners. Now they're back with this extra request, which will move that from 17 to 30%. And for renters, by the way, it's already 15% in June, and they want to do a 52% increase for renters. So you get an even worse situation than the homeowners, but it's all bad across the board. Of course, the Democrats and the liberals are saying these are all greedy insurance companies. Look, I'm not going to defend big business, but let me just say, when the evidence overwhelmingly shows that it was created by government mismanagement, bad politicians, then that's where we have to assign the blame and address it. And so this is not just State Farm. I'm not picking on State Farm. Allstate, Geico, all of them are going to do this. Okay, so no travelers. Every insurance company is going to go for these double-digit increases, and many companies are just dropping coverage altogether. In which case, you're shoved from commercial coverage, like a State Farm or a Geico, and you're thrown into something called the government-run insurance program, the FAIR plan, or as I've nicknamed it, the unfair plan. So if you're lucky, your rate goes up by 30 to 45% over 18 months. If you are unlucky, you get shoved in the government-run plan, and it's a 300% increase. I've heard from homeowners who've had their insurance canceled and they're shoved into the FAIR plan, and they go from paying $3,000 a year for insurance or $300 a month to over 9, 10, 11, 15,000. One guy called me from Alpine, which is in my district. It's in a high-risk area, but $15,000 a year. I mean, that's a mortgage payment for a lot of people. And remember, you have to have insurance. So a lot of these homeowners are being priced out of their own home, not because of property tax fluctuations, which we saw in the 1970s prior to Prop 13, but because of an insurance rate spike. So what's causing the insurance crisis? Well, 3 things. Number one, the cost of inflation for construction. Joe Biden in 2020, in 2021, 22, all that inflation really was located in a couple sectors of our economy: construction, drywall, lumber, labor for any sort of trade. That went through the roof. So the inflation was much higher than insurance companies were expecting. And as a result, when there was a loss, the insurance company had to pay out more for the replacement costs to do the fix. And they weren't expecting that. So inflation was number one. Number two, climate change has not caused more fires to happen. That's what the Democrats are saying. It's the severity of fires. It's the fact that when a fire starts, we can no longer stop it because we've allowed brush to overgrow. So brush management, the failure of brush management is a key problem. And then, of course, number three, we have an insurance crisis because over years, successive periods of years and years, we've not allowed insurance companies, because of our onerous regulations, to offer market-based pricing to homeowners and renters. And that's why they've had a bunch of losses pile up. And now these losses are coming due. We also require all sorts of regulations on these insurance policies that don't make sense from the cost benefit standpoint. So those are the three issues that we need to address. I'll talk about the plan that I introduced and that Democrats killed just a few weeks ago that would have solved those three problems. But let me share with you the gaslighting that's going on. Here is an op-ed from this Democrat activist, Jordan Hiedler, in the Cal Matters blog, which is a left-wing blog. He says that climate change has thrown insurance markets into dysfunction. Bitch, please. Democrat liberal politicians, the whore that you represent, the whole movement, that is what caused insurance rates to go through the roof. So they say climate change. It's not. I just went through the three issues. He then goes on to say the Trump administration is to blame. Under the Trump administration, the federal government is abandoning its responsibility to support communities facing climate catastrophe. It's shifting costs onto state governments by gutting FEMA, slashing crucial weather data and climate adaptation programs. So he says it's Trump's fault. Well, remember, this insurance crisis has been going on for 3 years. State Farm announced a year and a half ago that they were leaving. Double-digit increases have been happening. People have been dropped from insurance for the last 3 years. You really think people are a fool, Mr. Jordan Hiedler? You're a gaslighter. You're a liar. And this misinformation is then propagated and repeated by the media. And this is all a PR stunt. So don't pay any mind to this. You're going to hear more of this in the coming months, that when the insurance rates come up, it's all Trump's fault. It's all climate change. No, it's Gavin Newsom and California Democrats. Now, I offered a bill, Assembly Bill 567, which would have capped your insurance rates at no more than the national average. Because I think that we should, in California, benchmark against the national average. If a product or a service or coverage, whether it's childcare, healthcare, gas, cost X nationally, we should be able to provide that in California for the same price. Okay? There's no magic elixir in the rest of the other states. It's just that in California, we overregulate, overtax. We've made things so crazy. So anytime that you as a homeowner are paying more than the national average, I don't think you should have to pay it. I think we should take it out of the hide of the government. Take it out of the politician's budget. So AB 567 would have, number one, capped your insurance costs at no more than the national average increase per year. How do we do that? We would eliminate the insurance tax, because the politicians have a tax on all your insurance premiums. So this is why politicians don't want to solve the problem, is that when your insurance rate doubles, they get double the tax revenue. When it goes up by 20% or 30% or 45%, they get 20, 30, or 45% more insurance revenue. You see why these people are in on the scheme? They're part of the price gouging. They benefit from your financial misery. So the first thing I said is eliminate that. Politicians should be the ones taking the hit. Second, we required that the fire management in the state of California be completely overhauled, a Marshall-style plan. AB 567 would have required $1 billion a year for fire risk reduction on state and local lands, government lands that they've mismanaged. More on that in a minute. I've got the receipts to prove that that's really the problem here. It also would have given homeowners a right to clear defensive space around their home up to 100 feet and would have eliminated any regulations for fire districts on controlled burns. This is a powerful leap forward in getting fire risk reduced. Third, we would have required that we deregulate the insurance market, cut the costs of regulations so that insurance companies can actually operate efficiently and offer market-based pricing and market-based products to consumers. So that's a 3-step plan. We called the vote. Look at this. All of the Democrats voted it down. Some of them just walked off the floor. They didn't even want to vote on the bill. So 42 Democrats voted no. 18 Democrats walked off the floor. 17 Republicans, switch that around. The no vote was they were killing the bill. The no vote was, the no vote was let's not kill the bill. The I vote was kill the bill. So the I vote is the bad vote in this case. So all these Democrats walked off the floor because they knew that it was a popular bill. The rest of them were like, yeah, I'm proud to vote for killing insurance rate reform. So when you take a look at government's responsibility, California's fire hazard maps identify 6.8 million acres across the state as being at risk of wildfires. The vast majority of these acres are government owned. Only about 10% are privately owned. 6.8 million acres. Newsom is only putting in a plan to clear and reduce the risk on 500,000 acres. That's less than 10% of the acreage. It's like 8%. Oh, and worse than that, he's only doing 20% of the 500,000 acres. So he set a goal of 500,000 acres and he thought, oh, look at me, I'm setting a goal. He's barely scratched the surface. Less than 100,000 acres actually are being treated and having brush cleaned up on it. That's why my plan for insurance rate stabilization requires a Marshall-style effort, a war on fire risk. This is the main issue. Acres and acres of mismanaged forests, canyons, backcountry that are high risk. Oh, and it's even worse. 2 million acres of local land are designated high or very high fire risk. And I had another bill, separate from the insurance bill. This is Assembly Bill 758. It would have required local governments and state governments to assess fire risk, identify the cost of brush management, and come up with an immediate plan to get the work done within a 2-year period. That bill was killed in committee. They don't even want to develop plans. They don't even want to have the transparency of saying, hey, there's fire risk in these areas. I asked them to put these plans on the internet so that local residents could look up to see how their city was faring, whether they were cleaning canyons. Now, a lot of these canyons have homeless shelters in them, homeless camps, and a lot of the fires are starting with these homeless camps that we're allowing in these high-risk fire areas. Again, I'm trying to bring transparency here and get to the root cause of increased fire risk. Democrats are killing these bills, but no. It's all Trump's fault. So this asshat who writes this story talking about Trump and going after fire data. Well, what are you going to do with the data when your state and local government officials here in California refuse to use data to actually do assessments, to actually do fire risk reduction? Again, we've got the receipts. We know who's at blame here. It's not the Trump administration. This started years ago. These are policies in California developed and imposed by the Democrats, Newsom and the Democrat supermajority. And when they were given an opportunity with these two bills, my bill to require local governments to do assessments and clean up their act, they killed it in committee. And then, of course, AB 567, the cap and cut insurance reform plan, killed it. By the way, the cap and cut plan, AB 567, that would have saved $300 on the low end per homeowner and up to $3,000 per year per homeowner in the state of California. So when your insurance rates get hiked by 30%, 45% or more, when you get dropped from commercial insurance, get shoved into the fair plan at 300% higher cost, when you're stuck paying thousands of dollars more per year, blame Gavin Newsom and the California Democrats. Here are the names. And the cowards that walked off the floor and didn't want to vote on the bill, just so you know, we're not letting you off the hook. Walking off the floor means you didn't support the bill. Hey, Reform California, we need your help to make the case. Go to our website, reformcalifornia.org. Sign up at the bottom, first name, last name, email, phone, and zip code. That way you get updates on the fight, not only on insurance reform, but so many other issues, including get our voter guide in each election, the primary election and the general election. We give you a plain English voter guide so you know what you're voting on the ballot measures, because the politicians put deceptive titles on those measures. But also, it gives you an opportunity to get the endorsements in these candidate races. If you can, please chip in a contribution of any amount at that site, reformcalifornia.org. Until next time, I'm Carl DeMaio. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. But before you click away, please subscribe to this channel and click that notification button so you get updated when we post new episodes. Plus, like this video and share it with your friends so that we can help spread our message across the state. Reform California with Carl DeMaio is paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly.